to KUDOS Latte podcast, and this time when we are bringing a lot of laurels, lot of great guests across the globe to you all. Let's cherish and let's get a lot of inspiration in today's podcast, which says a versatile personality from United States, and he is none other than. If you want to know who is he, then you have to check out his video. Here is my great guest, Evan Whitehead from United States. Welcome, and I am so privileged and honored to host you today, Evan. So kindly enlighten the world today with your great, inspiring, and so-called great, inspiring, lovely, inspiring, motivating, and whatnot, your life journey.
Thank you very much, and namaskaram to you. I'm happy to be here, and great to be a part of your show, and also to your audience as well. As you were able to see the wonderful montage and information about who I am and my professional background, I really want to share more about my personality in terms of my personal story and journey that got me to the place where I am now. So, like many of us, we have life challenges from the time that we're young with our family that impact us as we become older. For me, I had a lot of unresolved issues from my childhood in terms of trauma, also things that happening in school. I was receiving speech and language services because I had a speech impediment, and so it inhibited me from being able to express myself in the way that I wanted to, and also the fact that I also experienced a lot of change growing up in terms of moving to different locations with my family, and also changing different schools many times. So it often caused me to have some challenges in terms of feeling comfortable and having lower self-esteem. And also, we didn't grow up with having a lot of money. We had situational poverty at times. So all those kind of came into play with me as well as also I had some undiagnosed mental illness, including ADHD, which at the time, about 40 years ago, was not really well known as it is today, especially here in the United States. So all that being said, I grew up having a situation of always trying to be pleasing to people and trying to get them to like me. So it created a false sense of who I was, and some imposter syndrome, and also people pleasing. And also because of that, it was very challenging me just navigate life at times. So I really wasn't the person who I truly wanted to be. I always felt I was trying to be someone else so people would like me, try to be friends with me, and try to accept who I was. Fortunately, as I got older and started to play athletics, here I ended up being very well in American football and getting a full scholarship to play football at a university here. And that was the first time where I actually started to experience what I now know was some depression. I thought it was just homesickness because I was over 1,000 miles from home for the first time at 18 years old. And it was something that I really didn't understand. And it got so dark that I started to self-medicate using alcohol and also smoking marijuana as well to try to help me cope and feel better with everything that was going on. But it didn't help. It was just kind of was escapism, a way to get away from things. It never really cured what was hurting inside. During that time when I was away at school was also my first suicide attempt from alcohol poisoning. And that was a recollection that, maybe I do have some challenges and problems, but I just kind of looked the other way and moved forward. Because of all that, I also kind of derailed my pathway of finishing college on a traditional timeline. But we all know there is no traditional timeline with finishing university. You finish when you finish. But for me, I always felt a sense I was behind my peers and trying to play catch up. So I end up working in education and working as a paraprofessional and teacher assistant with special needs students. And then I was encouraged to go back to school because the teachers that I were working with thought I did really well and had a connection with the students. And so I decided to go back to school and get my undergraduate degree in special education, with a concentration of bilingual, bicultural special education, Spanish language, and also teaching English as a second language as well. At the time, I was also majoring in Spanish language and literature. So after getting my first job in teaching, I had a family and was taking care of my family. My wife at the time decided she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. We both agreed. So, it was me on one income supporting three people at the time. And my son was born 2 years later. So now it was four of us. And it was a lot, but I took a lot on because I had been brought up to believe that that's what men do. They take care of their families at whatever cost and they push through. They don't make excuses and make it happen. And so that's what I did. I followed that blueprint. And I did pretty well in my profession as an educator. I rose up the ranks from a classroom teacher to a dean of student discipline, and then community outreach coordinator. And then I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree in education, leadership, and administration, so I could be eventually an assistant principal and school principal. So I did all that while still working as well. So I was taking more on and not removing anything off my plate. But at the time, I still was. Even though I was becoming accomplished, I still felt low self-esteem in the inside that I had experienced as a child. I was still trying to people please. I was still trying to do more to prove that I was worthy and beneficial for what I was receiving and trying to prove myself. And as I took more on, I earned more money, but I still felt empty inside. I still was a struggle. So I still continued to self-medicate with using alcohol and drugs, and then harder drugs came into play as well. And with that, it got pretty challenging. And so I was working hard and putting all my effort into work. And then on the weekends, I was battling this disease of addiction, but also had some other mental health challenges as well that were later diagnosed as anxiety and depression. And so all these things with the chemical imbalance and working hard and just life in general and doing that is a lot on one person to take on. And, as I rose up the ranks and became an assistant superintendent of schools, and then the pressure became more, but I earned more money. So I thought it was okay. But eventually everything came to a head. And I found myself in a mental health crisis, what we consider now a nervous breakdown. And I found myself in a hospitalization program for dual diagnosis for treatment of mental health and substance abuse disorder. And at the time, I thought it was the worst thing that would ever happen. It was my darkest moment inside. But I realized that it was actually an opportunity for me to heal, to rest, to reflect, and to relax. And something I hadn't done in almost 2 decades because I was going so hard and going so fast. And it was actually the greatest thing that probably could have ever happened to me because it saved my life. And while I was in treatment program, though, there were three themes that kept coming to play in my mind. And they kept coming up and when I was in therapy sessions with my group and also individual therapist sessions as well. And the three themes were this. The first theme was balance. And I realized I was an extremist. And so everything that I did, no matter what, I did it 110%, whether it was positive or whether it was negative. I was going to be the best that it was. And I was going to put all of my energy and effort and pour it all into that. I didn't have an understanding of like a middle ground, right? It was all or nothing. And so, we often chase this idea of work-life balance, family work balance, balance between your significant other, your spouse, and your children, and I found I was chasing that too, but realizing that, balance does not exist as we think about it in terms of being equal, right? Because life is not on a plane, it ebbs and flows. So truly, balance is more, to me, I redefine it as being in terms of equity. And that's providing the time, the energy, the effort, and the resources to people, relationships, activities, and your work life, right? That need it when they need it. So prioritizing, and then also making sure that it's reciprocated to you as well. Because oftentimes we give a lot, but we don't get the same back. So for me, that was the first area of balance and redefining what it meant and understanding that I never had it. And so that was an area of deficit for me. The second area was boundaries. And, we often hear times about, making sure we respect the boundaries of others and respecting their space. But for me, because I was a people pleaser and I lived in imposter syndrome. And for all the years of me feeling inside I was not good enough, not worthy enough, etc., I was trying to please everybody. So I didn't understand the power of two letters, which is one word, and that's no, right? When you set your boundaries in place and you tell people no, right? You are being advocate for yourself. And that's something I didn't do. So in my career, right, if someone needed me to teach another class or take on another subject area or to sponsor a specific club or activity, I did it. And especially in education, right? And here in the United States, at least, the idea is when you're a first year teacher or you're a first year profession, you want to prove that you're worth something. And I'm sure that's in a lot of professions. So what do? You work later, come in earlier, and you try to do more to prove yourself, right? So I was taking all that in and I followed that same recipe because I thought that would be good for me. However, it really wasn't, because what happens is, as human beings at our core are about self-preservation, right? So we have to understand, and I didn't understand until I had a chance to do this and reflect, is that, you know, human beings will drain you if you allow them to do so, even if there's no malintent, because that is the nature of who we are. The first time someone asks you something, you do it as a favor. The next time you do it, it's expected. So now they will take and they will take and they will take until you tell them no. And you have to put the boundaries in place. I was not good at that. So I realized that was missing. The last area and final area was that I realized that I stopped initiating and implementing self-care. I used to take family vacations. I used to go on trips and do things with my friends, but I stopped doing that. When I reached a certain level in my career, I was putting everything back into my career, or as my children began to do athletics and sports and activities, I was helping with them, training, coaching, and also volunteering. When their coach maybe didn't show up to practice or a game, I would step in as well. So once again, I'm giving all this to other people, right? My family, I would do anything for them. So it's not so much about what I did for my children, but the fact that I was stepping in when other people dropped the ball because I felt it was my responsibility to do so. Like I had a complex about doing that. So that being said, the other part is I didn't take sick days. When I was sick, I pushed through and still went to work, right? Once again, this whole idea, especially in the education system here in the United States, it's a culture of martyrdom and almost of buying into this idea of like, until you are willing to give up everything that you can, then you're not worthy. And so I didn't do that. I pushed through. I didn't take sick time. I didn't take vacations. And, I also realized that I never took the time to pause. As I began to go through my career and make professional accomplishments and personal accomplishments, I never paused. I never celebrated success. I just went on to what's next. And especially here in the Western world, right? We have a very hard time understanding the importance of patience. We want everything to be next and immediate. It's like a microwave society. And so for me, when I was in treatment and therapy, that's when I learned about mindfulness. And that's when I first learned to be a mindfulness practitioner and understand the importance of understanding of just being aware, and being present, right? And so the last area was the breaks and the pause of being able to be in the moment and just be, right? Because we know that, when you think about things in the past that you can't control, that leads to depression because you're overthinking about things that already happened. When you overthink, and you're thinking about things in the future that haven't happened yet, that leads to anxiety. It's important to stay and be present in where you are and take in everything that's going on and just allowing things to happen instead of trying to control things that haven't happened or things that already happened in the past. Just simply be. So that became my 3 Bs, my balance, boundaries, and breaks. So not only did the 3 Bs each stand for the first letter of each of the areas, but also it's a double entendre in terms of just being. Just be present, just be alive, just be in the moment. Let's experience all of that. So, that helped me so much. It allowed me to heal. I became sober. I started recovery, and I've been in sustainable recovery and not active in my addiction, and also stable in my mental illness for over 5 years now. And I've taken that message. And I said, when I left my treatment program and I was discharged, I said, if I can help one person in the world by sharing my story of what I've gone through in my life, how I overcame adversity, and how I made it through and what helped me, then I'll feel blessed. Because now I don't want anyone to ever go through what I had to go through, right? And we all know in life, the way that I look at it is there are three phases that we're all into. We're either going into a storm and don't know it, we're either in the middle of a storm, or we just left a storm and it's behind us. At all times in our life, we're always in one of those phases. So it's important to understand, if I made it through, for me to look back and tell someone else, go the other way, go the opposite direction, something's coming. And if I don't do that, then I'm not doing my worth as well. And also the benefit of putting that out into the universe, because it comes back to you tenfold in everything that you do.
Wow, I am so mesmerized, Evan, after knowing your life journey. And trust me, global audience who are watching and who will be watching this video later, we got a lot of inspiration from Evan's life, how he overcome all those obstacles in his life, how he overcame all the failures, and the word itself, fail, says first attempt in learning. So hats off to you, Evan,
Thank you.
for conquering all the battlefield. I mean, you just conquer everything in your life. And you had given a lot of great messages, that is, boundaries must be set up. And when you have those lovely boundaries, you are happy. You
Yes.
should know how to say no to the people. And the art of saying no is a miraculous art. So this is really great. And I really appreciate your journey, your vigor, your strength, and most important, your determination, which has proved if you have a great willpower, you can do anything in this world. Even the word called anxiety, depressions are nothing in front of your willpower. So a round of applause for you, Evan.
Thank
You
you.
are inspiring the world, because we are getting a lot of messages in the form of lovely comments. So this is a great journey with Latte Podcast, with my Latte Coffee. And hats off to you, Evan, for this great journey. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Evan, you have told, just like roller coaster you were telling, and I was mesmerized. Global audience were showering their comments. Oh my gosh. But still, I want to know, Evan, this was all about your life journey, your challenges, your problems, your hurdles, and you kept on going, and you proved life means to move on, and life is a journey. You should enjoy the present moment. Now, the present moment says, we want to know, Evan, what is your work area? What is your profession? So that we can also leverage great things from your great work. So,
Definitely. So,
again, yeah.
so now what I do is I still have been 28 years in the field of education and international education. So I'm also a thought leader and an influencer in terms of innovative practices and ideas. And my focus is now in the area of education of social emotional learning, SEL, and also mental health and well-being for educators specifically. But also, I'm also a mindset and accountability coach. So I work with people in terms of changing their mindset and then helping them to achieve their goals in terms of their understanding their personal strengths to do so. And then I also am an advocate in the area of mental health and well-being. Disabilities, suicide prevention, and trauma survivors as well. And so those are the areas in the work that I do. And I'm also an education consultant and providing support to education agencies, in the United States and also in other countries as well. And focusing on, as I said, social emotional learning, understanding, working with diverse student populations. And also another area that I cover through my consulting is diversity, equity, inclusion as well, because it's huge to understanding that. And then I'm also a keynote speaker, and I come in to provide speaking engagements around my 3Bs, sharing my personal story, my journey, and getting more details, and then also do trainings and development around my 3Bs. So I come in to work with organizations on how to implement the 3Bs into their workplace, into helping their employees and having their employees giving them the tools they need to be successful, to avoid burnout and to reduce burnout and also mental health challenges within organizations as well. So that's what I do. And I do it through my coaching. I also implement my 3Bs as the foundation to my coaching practices as well.
Really, this is really great, amazing, and miraculous work which you are doing, Evan. I really appreciate your coaching, the mindset values which you set. It was really awesome. And here, I would love to draw the attention of my global viewers. Kindly connect with Evan and please leverage all the great work which he's doing into coaching, mentoring, mental health advocate, and what not. So grab the opportunity before it slips from your hand. So this is the great time where you just get all the great opportunities and your table is full of dishes. So grab it, make your life meaningful, transformed one, and most important, live in the moment. That's what the message is. So thank you, Ivan, for your great, inspiring, motivating journey and your great deeds which you are doing for the society and humanity. Awesome one.
Thank you very much.
Lovely journey with Ivan. And my question to Ivan is, Ivan, straightforward, what is your opinion about KUDOS Latte Show and anything that you can say about our founder, CEO, or anything which comes in your heart?
Well, I think the one thing is that anytime you can impact and scale the work on a global stage, it's important because it is the ripple effect of the ripples of a pebble in the water and how it moves. And people are interconnected, and being able to hit a global audience with themes, with messages, and ideas of hope and inspiration, and also providing resources is second to none. And there are not a lot of opportunities where people are using their platforms for that as well, and being able to share, but also to inspire and also provide the strategies and resources and make connections with people all around the world that are doing great work is something phenomenal and fabulous. So I give kudos, pun intended, to KUDOS Latte Show.
Thank you so much for such lovely words. Sometimes even we need a lot of motivation and a lot of development to move on in life. So these words really, 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 thank you so much from the bottom core of my heart. And yes, Evan, your all answers were fabulous, so inspiring. But still, before I say goodbye to you and our lovely audience, everybody is waiting again for your powerful message. So powerful message from Evan is on the way. Yeah, go on.
Thank you very much. To your audience, everyone that's listening live, and to those that will hear this recording later, I have a couple messages for you. Is that one, just remember that life is a journey. And along that way, there are often going to be pit stops, and making sure that you understand, continue to move forward, right? And that just as if you're driving in a car, the rear view mirror is smaller than the front windshield intentionally, because it's made to only look back temporarily, to remember where it was, but not to stay there. Always keep focus on what's forward and not stay behind. The other piece is that always understand that your journey is your journey. Don't compare yourself to others. Work on you, do the inner work, create a foundation so you can be the best person of you. And finally, remember that you are your number one and best advocate, no matter what. And make sure that you prioritize your overall mental health and well-being so you can be the best version of yourself, and so that you can do that to be the best version for other people that you work with in your life and that you serve. And with that, that's my final word. Peace and blessings. And remember, balance, boundaries, and breaks. Namaste.
This is really awesome and full nuggets of wisdom, chunks of wisdom you have provided. You have read it to the world today. So thank you so much for everything, Ivan. And I keep appreciating your work, your deeds, which for the humanity and experiences are the best teachers. That's what you have delivered today. A great message. So once again, thank you so much for coming to our show. It's been a great privilege and honored for me to host you today, and it was a lovely journey with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, global audience, for always loving us, inspiring us, cheering us, and showering the love in the form of comments. So thank you so much. Keep doing that. Till then, stay happy, hail and hearty. Bye bye for now.